Because I speak the language of empiricism, and when you only understand emotionalism, it's always going to sound like anger, hate. I don't speak the language of empiricism, but that's where I live, in emotional world, and so therefore somebody speaking a different language, he must be bad. Autism with low intelligence is a serious problem, but if you're aware of your actions, I think you are accountable to get better. You agree with that? How many of guys do you have as sort of regulars or counsels that you would say are actually functionally autistic?
Jack Napier.
Wow. That's a given. Yeah.
Not another junior member of Rules. I know. Who let this guy in?
I would say, run that question again.
Functionally autistic. I mean, because if you're really autistic, you're probably not looking for help from us.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like a 2 or a 3. Functionally.
Yeah, I'd say functionally autistic. I'd say a good 20-25% of my clientele.
I would say the same.
For me, about 12 to 15.
Because you worked that into your plan for when you're doing your man of action.
Yeah, I have 600 clients and at least 125 of them.
The reason I ask is because from 2000 to 2020, there's been a 178% increase in diagnosed autism in men, in boys and men.
Well, how much is that actually?
That's crazy for that.
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't believe it.
That.
Well, is it diagnosed? Was it there and we didn't see it? Was it something that was?
That's exactly what's
going on. Remember the 90s, everybody was on Ritalin? Oh, you're a boy? Oh, here, give him some Ritalin to settle him down.
It's exactly my point. It's like back in the 90s, autism was a binary thing. You had autism or you had no autism. We didn't think of it as a spectrum, and we didn't think Urkel had autism. Now we look at it now, it's like, oh, obviously Urkel is a guy with Asperger's syndrome, but we didn't see it because it's a guy who doesn't have Asperger's syndrome playing a guy who did have. So we laughed at, ha ha ha, Revenge of the Nerds, ha ha, and we thought that was normal. And there's a guy in every show, Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper, but there's a guy who's the functioning autistic guy in every one, and we laugh at him, and we don't recognize what was going on. Now we have this huge net, so the medical community can now treat more people with autism. It's autism, ready for it, spectrum disorder. And so of course we're going to have 178, and so now what happens? 178% more. That must mean vaccines cause autism. No, those are the people who actually have autism who believe that. That's the thing that happens next.
There's a lot of correlates, Matt. I will tell you, there's a lot of a lot of people will correlate the fact that there's an increase in autism. There's also an increase in use of SSRIs amongst women as well. And so there's that you could, those are dots you can connect. Is correlation causation? No, but you can still see all of this stuff happens live in real time. Hank Moody says, anyone else read Ryan Stone's new book yet?
Not in audio, not yet.
Nope. Frame praxeology.
I'm about.
I have because I wrote the intro to it, so I have
4 chapters in right
now.
now. Yeah, Rollo, what do you think about? At least for us, there's a sizable percentage of the guys we work with that are just socially awkward, very awkward socially.
Social skills versus not actually being functionally autistic.
That's what I'm wondering, if we're not blending those two together. So I think it's larger than the percentage I said.
I try to decipher, do you have a problem with permission, giving yourself permission, or do you have a problem where the girl is saying, get the fuck away from me, and you can't tell she's saying
that's a good distinction.
I look for that distinction. A lot of times it is mom and dad when you're growing up, shut the fuck up, sit in the corner, stop making noise, stop making noise, stop playing, stop having fun, put the fucking video game down, no creativity, none, study, you're going to become a doctor. And their whole childhood was that. Then they grow up with me and I'm like, hey bro, slap the table, say, let's fucking go. And they're like, let's fucking go.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Let's go.
Bro, for real? And then I played the replay back for him. I'm like, do you see the difference between how you did it and I did it?
That is Jack Napier.
We gave ourselves permission.
Oh boy.
I'd say I wrote, you probably read the intro to my 5th book.
Of course.
In that intro, I specifically put that section in there as I said, look, game is not going to cure your social awkwardness. Learning game is not going to suddenly make you normal if you are diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome or autism, because that's the reason I have to put that in now. Is because guys will come and they'll go, I got to learn games so I can get a girlfriend. And what they're really saying is, I need better social skills. And that's why, so when I hear, and I know these guys in the chat and everybody else, and everybody fucking hates us on the black pill doomer side of everything. Oh, it's all those pickup artists. Okay,
Rollo's disclaimer.
Pickup is fucking dead, okay? If your idea of a pickup or what game is looks like Mystery from 2004 with black fingernail polish, a feather boa, a big top hat, and elevator boots or whatever it is, that was literally 20 years ago, okay? So fucking catch up to where we're at right now. When we refer to game, it's social skills is what it really boils down to. And the reason why you can commodify it now is because there's so many guys who don't have social skills.
Just straight conversation skills do lack in the group that we.
No,
that's what we focus on.
I notice a lot of guys coming from the church look like they are on the autism spectrum because they lack social skills. They lack it from a conviction standpoint. Like, I can't look at her that way. I shouldn't talk to her. Oh my God, I'm sinning. I'm lusting.
They mix it
and
into
it's
the
like
conviction.
they don't. Yeah, they mess it up. I'm like, no, bro, you just appreciating a hot girl. Like, she's hot.
Young people are socially retarded too. Because I was in Florida with my mom, and every morning we would walk around this lake. And I said, like, watch this, Mom. I'm just gonna wave to every different demographic that walks past us. And people who are like in their 40s and 50s, they're just like, oh, hi, yeah, good morning, nice to see you, great weather today. But all the younger people were so like socially awkward, like, face buried in their phone, like afraid to make eye contact, thought I was up to something. And we're just two people walking in the park. So a lot of these young people, I just think because we're all grow up with these, social media devices in front of us 24/7, they lost the ability to be like, hey, we're two people in a room having a real conversation. Have to look at you and like deal with the repercussions of what I say in real life. A lot of them don't have the skills.
This is a really good one. Thanks. Iron Disciples are good friends of mine. You need to get in touch with them.
I reached out to them actually not too long ago.
So they said, what percentage of, this is for everybody, what percentage of guys consuming red pill content do you think are actually trying to improve themselves versus just self-loathing and watching red meat on Fresh and Fit? They're just there for the hate follows. They're there for their, what percentage do you think are actually come to find this space and they go, I'm going to listen to these guys, I'm going to try to improve.
20%.
I would say
I'm saying 20%.
15. I guess I'll copy that from you.
Normal distribution, the middle 68.27%.
I'm trying not to be literal.
And then you have the 16% here. I say 16%. And the 84% is like 1.5 standard deviations. So 16% are actually trying to improve themselves, and the 1.5 standard deviations, which would be 84%, are not.
I would say
that's a good assessment.
The top end of the bell curve?
Yes. The top end is doing it. The bottom end is like, they aren't even leaving their house. And then there's the middle 68% who is like, oh yeah, let's watch Fresh and Fit, 304s, and then they go to off. Like, guys, I'm gonna tell you a story. You remember when Sonia Mallory, the week that he and I went on, this girl Sonia Mallory lives here in Vegas. She films with her husband. You remember I told you about it? Covered in tattoos, deep voice. She's from Montreal, right? Huge fake boobs, real pretty blue eyes, whatever.
We love her.
She's on there and she's talking or whatever, and she's straight up like, yeah, I'm here for the abuse from you guys because I want OnlyFans subscribers. I'm sitting there afterwards. I was like, Sonia, I got to ask you a question. How many new OnlyFans subscribers do you have right now from when you went on Fresh and Fit? She's like, 2,000. Dude, that's not 2,000 followers on Instagram. That is 2,000 OnlyFans subscribers. That could be 500 grand for her over the course of a year. And that's, I mean, it's just crazy when you see it. She's like, yeah, they can say whatever they want about me, I don't care. But here's the funny thing. What were they saying? 3 or 4, ho. But 2,000 of you are following her now? What the f? Like, that's the point I'm trying to make. Right. That's why I think it's 84% of them are doing nothing to improve themselves, and 16% of them are.
That's why I was thinking about it with our definitions. The Bell distribution curve is a good way to analyze this. So one standard deviation above is actually trying to improve themselves, sort of the 15% roughly we all agreed upon. Yeah. Then there's the center, where I would say, yeah, 304 is entertainment value, and yeah, I'd like to maybe pick up some red pill game. Then what concerns me is the tail on what would be the left side of the Bell distribution curve. I think they're using it not just as an excuse, but almost a religion or ideology. Yeah, where a genuine,
they want it to be a philosophy.
Yeah, a genuine misogyny against women. Yeah, and so that's where you're what is the guy that shot up or ran people over.
So let's discuss that. The 2015 a study came out that showed that violent video games do not make children violent. Correct. They tested that. Red pill in this whole thing, I don't think it makes people misogynistic. What I think is people are born, there's stimulus in their early life that causes them to be misogynistic, plus possibly genetically low levels of empathy, and then they look for a place to go. And the woke nature doesn't fit what they want. But there's an ideology here in Red Pill where there's a couple of guys who say some irresponsible stuff, and now they become subsets of Red Pill that are exceptionally misogynist. But the point is, Red Pill did not make them misogynist. It's just like what I said before. Cartel bosses are always sociopaths, because the first cartel boss that isn't a sociopath, he dies. So cartel bosses select for sociopathy. And what I think is, in this case, people who are already misogynists, they're just finding this programming. It's the programming is not making them do. I've never heard Rolo say one thing that he hates women, but there are people out there who will swear to God that he says this.
Yeah, because I speak the language of empiricism, and when you only understand emotionalism, it's always going to sound like anger, hate. Well, I don't agree with that, and I want to get. I don't speak the language of empiricism, so he but that's where I live in emotional world, and so therefore somebody speaking a different language, he must be bad.
There's another thing.
Yeah, I need to be told how to feel about this guy.
So who says we hate 304s? Glenn, we love.
We have a whole.
Dude, thank you.
We
Thank
did a whole
you.
podcast.
Thank you.
We did a whole
Touchdown.
podcast saying that like every guy loves hoes. You all love.
No, not every guy.
love them.
No.
Brian from whatever podcast does not like
guys
those.
guys who have sex on a regular basis love even if I'm not sleeping with them, when I'm at a party and there's girls like dancing, just shaking their ass, and I'm in a hot tub with my girlfriend and other girls are acting wild, I'm having a blast. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, why don't you guys find God? At no point. I'm looking at my girl. I'm looking at my girl. I'm like, which one do you want, babe? Which one are we taking home? That's what I'm doing.
Let me throw something out there, because I get this all the time. It's one thing to be called like you're a hater or you're angry. It's always it's truthful anger. I've got that for so long, right? But it's still truthful. Okay, so where am I wrong? That's number one. The other thing is I was hoping I was going to go head to head with Imran Ahmed on Dr. Phil about this topic, but we never got around to it. But I'm seeing it make another sort of comeback right now, that we're radicalizing the incels of the world. But they're all going to turn into murderous, rampaging radicals. And there's an FBI study about like the manosphere, and guys like Andrew Tate are radicalizing today's youth, just like the Arab Spring or something. Like they're all sexless, they have no prospects, and so they were just ripe for the picking for like Boko Haram or something.
They're
like
missing
that,
the point. They're radicalized because they're sexless. Not because of red pill. They're forgetting the point. 80% of men on dating apps are deemed unattractive. That's why they're being radicalized.
So I have a study for that, actually.
Yeah.
Political radicalization may be often fueled by obsessive compulsive disorder. This is from Psychological Study, okay? Across 4 ideological samples of the United States, Republican, Democrat, and Muslim, we found direct effects between obsessive compulsive disorder symptoms and radical intentions, as well as indirect effect of OCD on radical intentions via obsessive passion. You just said that, right? Even after controlling for potential clinical confounds like adverse childhood experiences, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, these effects remained robust, implying that OCD plays a significant role in the formation of violent ideological intentions and opening up new avenues for the treatment and prevention of violent extremism. Okay, so were they already fucked up before they found the manosphere? Were they already up before they found the Democrats, the Republicans, their religion, whatever it is? Or was it the religion was it Marilyn Manson that convinced them to go and kill everybody? Was it Judas Priest who convinced them with their violent lyrics to go and kill their parents?
Rollo, it was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I have to admit, I'm old.
You know what?
You
could make a case for 5th edition. I might give that to you.
Well, what's interesting is like they don't. I got articles here, and this is from a book, the War Against Male Justice, right? And here's a quote, right? Jocelyn Friedman says, "Divorcing masculinity from misogyny needs to start younger. Traditional masculinity needs to be limited because it's going to be harmful to us by our boys." This is a quote. This is,
what they're defining as traditional masculinity. Yeah.
It's like, and that was from The Guardian. In March of 2018. It's like they're a push to try to label anything masculine misogynistic,
toxic.
Yeah,
I do believe that's on purpose. Definitely, there's a slant of Marxism with feminism, and now it's merged with this Faustian theory, or this Malthusian theory, about
population control.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me roll this one out here. John Conchar says, this panel has been immensely helpful to me, specifically Cappy, MLD, and Rollo. 21 years old, and I lost 40 pounds of fat. Wow.
Awesome.
And put on 20 pounds of muscle in the last 2 years. No debt, 20,000 in savings so far. Thank you for my unplugging.
Don't you have debt from
Does that guy sound like he's angry and pissed off and is OCD and is going to be a potential radical?
He just hates the world.
Does that sound?
But I hate
you have to point that out so people don't from the outside looking in don't go, oh, these guys sound like they're trying to, anything we're talking about here is going to sound like we're radicalizing. Yeah. Go ahead, what did you say?
Oh, what I was going to say is I cannot give up on the idea, though, that laziness drives a lot of this. Where there is mental illness, there is OCD, like something genuinely wrong. But if you look at some of the more radical leftists, they just don't want to work. That's all it is. And they will rationalize some pretty horrific sins, basically theft being one of them, bailing me out of student loans, I'm entitled to everyone else to slave away and pay more taxes. But I could also see where this laziness is the common unifying factor, or at least a contributing factor on all these things. Whether you're a radical whatever terrorist or a radical leftist, or you're one of these incels mowing people down. You ever look at these people on their face? Like, I'm not big physiognomy. I think that's the way you pronounce
Physiognomy
it.
is real, yes.
It's like you're a fat, disgusting, ugly piece of shit who put no effort into any physical
Is that the term for
self-improvement.
that? Physiognomy? I've never heard of
Yeah, but there's a G
Physiognomy.
in there, so I don't know
I'll
how
send it
to.
to
I don't know
Yeah.
how to pronounce it. But
Physiognomy.
Physiognomy.
but when
Physiognomy.
I look at someone advocating fat acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
it ain't a good-looking, hard-working person. When I hear someone advocating socialism, it ain't an engineer or lineman or anyone who actually works a real job. It's always these fat, parasitic f***s who are ugly and don't want to work. But that laziness transcends political
We
lines.
need to make a T-shirt of that. Don't be a fat parasitic lazy.
So how about this? So you notice that the people who are complaining are never high testosterone masculine men.
right.
That's true.
And the reason why, I'm not trying to say because essentially
got that dinging?
but our perspective is it's super
every
chat.
time we get a
Super chat, yes. And we're getting a lot of them.
Here we
Thank
go.
you. Keep them coming.
That's good.
We'll read them.
Here's the idea. So do you guys remember the whole thing with Victoria's Secret? They're like, we're going to put different body types up there. And because they legitimately believe that seeing those different body types up there would make men be attracted to different things. This is how far. Now, because they're not high testosterone men, no one taught me to like a small waist, signs of youth, large breasts, and a round butt. No one taught me that. No, if anyone has any questions about that, go see Dr. Buss in his 37 culture study. No one taught me to be heterosexual. No one taught me to find women attractive. No one taught me to like sugar, salt, and fat. No one taught me to eat carbs and
No one
sugar.
taught John either, but he's going after the.
Yeah.
I mean,
There you go. But like no one taught.
Explain this, Matt.
No one taught me that, so no one can teach me.
right now.
So no one can teach me away from it. So whenever we do things that are part of our nature, they're like, well, we'll just, because of a blank slate theory, which Stephen Pinker, criticizes heavily, the idea that, well, this is going to happen. This is where pray the gay away, by the way, for the right, that comes from the same thing. This belief that like my masculinity and my heterosexuality are cultural constructs that have been taught to me, but that's because they don't have 900 free tests. That's the real. I
don't believe
that's
that's
the
true.
reason why they legitimately, because they've never played linebacker, because they've never dunked a basketball, because they've never tackled somebody. That's the reason, or been in a fight. They legitimately think that my predilections are pliable. They are not, and that's the problem. And once they come to that realization, then the only other option is, well, then get rid of all men because they're all potential rapists.